welcome to a weekly wear, of which that I don't actually think, will I be titling this weekly wear? I don't know, because we're going back in time here to when I used to do YouTube made me buy it. It turned into sometimes Instagram made me buy it. Well, now we have TikTok, and TikTok has made me buy this new foundation from L'Oreal. This is the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in a powder. People are going bananas over this on TikTok. A lot. Clearly TikTok is taking over the world because I had to go to 3 different Targets before I could even find any of the shades in stock for this foundation. They were wiped out. Thankfully, as I said, the 3rd Target that I went to, I was able to find, I think they had like 4 shades left, and I think this is gonna be my shade, so hopefully I got lucky. But here you go. As I said, it's a matte foundation in powder form. It's got great reviews so far, pretty sure coming from TikTok, and it is $14.99 about, depending on where you buy it from. There are 16 different shades if I counted correctly, at least on L'Oreal's website. I say shade range could certainly be improved, especially in the deep shades, but I will at least give a little bit of credit in that they're at least using non-female presenting models. Like, that's a good step, I think, in the makeup world in order to be more inclusive. And yeah, they just say that this is a powder that covers like a liquid and mattifies with no cakey look. Oh my gosh, I am on a roll with finding typos. It should be and mattifies, not a mattifies. Do I need to start up an editing company maybe for cosmetics companies? Either way, I don't know what powder they are comparing this to, but they say this is more affordable and more long wearing than the leading prestige powder. It's gonna be weightless, give full coverage, as well as a natural matte finish that looks fresh hour after hour. Breathable, gives a blurring effect. The matteness is gonna last all day. It's waterproof, heat-proof, sweat-proof. Here they're saying it's available in 14 shades, even though prior on the list of shades it said 16 shades. L'Oreal, we have some discrepancies. We can talk if you want a new editor for your site. Either way, it's dermatologist tested, blah blah. And just apply it to your skin with the sponge applicator included. Wet for full coverage and dry for medium buildable coverage. So I picked up the shade 130 True Beige. So as I said, I'm hoping this will work for me. We will find out. And day 1 of testing here as per usual. Glasses wearers of the world, I got you covered. Non-primer wearing people of the world, I got you covered. Blemish people of the world, I got you covered. I've got an assortment of blemishes, both painful and healing. So we have lots of different textures. That's what I'm trying to say. So this comes in a compact, and it's a powder with this square diamond design, depending on how you flip it. And speaking of flip, it's got a sponge and a mirror in there, which is awesome, because that's how I feel like most of the TikTokers are using this. They're like, I heard about this foundation. Dip, dip, in my car, swipe, swipe, magic. That's exactly how they do it, actually. Let's see. Oh my god. It's so, like, that almost feels like I just dipped my finger into butter. Like melty, I can't believe it's not butter. Ooh. So let's see. I mean, I am not the biggest powder foundation person. I just prefer liquid. I don't know if it's because that's what I'm most used to, or if I just haven't found the powder foundation for me yet, but let's see. Swipe, swipe. I mean, I don't feel like, oh, you know what? This actually reminds me of theater. Back in high school. I mean, it's not like I haven't ever used or tried a powder foundation since then, but I just, oh my gosh. Memories of the dressing room doing touch-ups between scenes. It was always with one of these powder foundation compacts. Obviously not the same brand and everything, but I actually couldn't even tell you what brand and everything I used to use. I feel like it has a slight scent to it. Kind of like laundry detergent. It smells good. It smells pretty light. I think the shade match is pretty spot on. And I would certainly say I got medium coverage out of that, you know? Some blemishes are still peeking through, but I do think that it evened out my skin. It's weightless, but my skin feels so smooth with it on top. They say that this is buildable, so I'll be curious to see how that goes and if it just ends up looking ultra cakey. But I'm also very curious to see if it can cover up more of these like heavy duty blemishes that I've got on this side of my face. Alright, as I am finishing up this side of my face here, I totally remembered I forgot to sing my freaking theme song! It's been so long since I've actually used a theme song in one of my videos, but we've got the YouTube Made Me Buy It theme song. Let's reminisce. And changed it a little bit, because, like I said, TikTok, not YouTube this time. TikTok made me buy it, and now I'm gonna try it. Oh, how fun. So here it is with the first layer and everything. Do you want to be a little closer? I mean, you can still see the blemishes for sure, as I said. Definitely more of a medium coverage on this first go around. And I'm a little nervous because it looks like, and I kind of, you know, powder foundations tend to be this way, but with ones like healing bits that have a crust to them, a scab, if you will. The powder usually emphasizes it, and so far it does kind of look like it's doing that, but I'm not gonna give up hope. I'm gonna try and layer this in the areas that I deem it necessary. I'm just so curious to see if my mask completely takes this off today. Because I feel like with your breath inside of the mask, and especially here in Minnesota, it is cold. It's like -20 outside, so I just feel like there's going to be a lot of condensation and stuff happening. I'm just very curious. But I mean, they did say it's, you know, waterproof and everything, so technically it shouldn't have any troubles. But time will tell. We shall see. I do not think going in dry I'm going to be able to cover up that honker there, but you know, we tried. All right, so there we have it with the built up layer on there. I don't think I was able to get it to full coverage, as I said, at least not using it dry like this. We'll try it out wet on another day of testing, but so far it looks good. Evened things out for sure. Super lightweight, definitely blurred some of my pores. It also emphasized a little bit the scabs that I have on my face. Emphasized the drying, but overall, not mad at it. I'm curious to see how it wears, and so I'm gonna go and live my life, test it out, and I'll see y'all at the end of the night with all of the nitty-gritty details. Ready? Ding! Hello everyone, good evening, end of the night here. I think I am just as curious as y'all, I'm hoping are, to see how my face looks. I have not checked in the mirror, so this is as much of a surprise to me as it will be to you. Alright, it honestly looks exactly the way I would expect a powder foundation to look. It looks really quite greasy on my forehead. It looks like it came off of the majority of my chin and also quite patchily on my nose, I'm assuming because of my mask. I'm wearing that out today for errands, but you know, overall it doesn't look horrible. I've seen better. You know, it has felt very lightweight throughout the day, so I'm gonna give it that credit. I'm curious to test it out wet, as they say you can, and then I'm probably also gonna test it out as a powder. So, you know, wear a normal liquid foundation and then put this on top of it. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna try and make it work, at least make it work for me, and I will show y'all those results once again in just a second here. Ready? Ding! Hello everyone, good evening, end of the night here, and I've got results to share with you guys from the past couple of days. You all saw day 1, and as I said, on days 2 and 3, I was gonna switch things up, try things differently, see if I can get this powder foundation to work for me and my oily skin. So let me tell you how that went. So for day 2, I decided to try this out with my Ciate Watermelon Hydrating Primer, as well as using the sponge wet. Blending sponge that you can buy separately on the market from many different brands. I think this one is a Luxie sponge. However, that was a big ew, no thanks from me because it went on super patchy and also darker than the shade actually is because of the wetness. But then even once it dried on my skin, it didn't dry down to the shade that it is originally, so that was just a big nope from me overall. And I had waited for the primer to dry. I don't put foundation and stuff on top of that when it's still wet. So like I said, that was just a big nope. So I decided to go ahead, since I had only tried the wet sponge technique on a little bit of my face, I went ahead and figured I could still try this as a normal foundation, a powder foundation like I did on day one, but we'll see if concealer as well as primer can help it out with lasting on my skin. And with that, I thought it looked fine overall. It looked pretty good, but I wasn't able to get it to full coverage again, probably because you're supposed to use it wet for full coverage, and I wasn't able to use it wet. So that was a bummer, but it was able to build and blend and all that stuff. So it continued to feel lightweight on my skin throughout the day as it did on day one. However, at the end of the night, my forehead did look greasy again. It didn't look as greasy as day one, I'm assuming because of the primer, but overall I felt that it looked better than day one for sure, and it hung in much better than it did on day one, the foundation. However, it had the feeling like it was gonna wipe right off, and it did just that. I think the reason that it had the feeling on day two instead of on day one is because on day two I didn't go out and wear my mask or anything, so it hadn't wiped off at all. So it was there, which led it to feeling like it was gonna wipe off. Do you get what I'm saying? Like on day one it wasn't there because it had wiped off with my mask, so it couldn't feel like it was gonna wipe off when it was already wiped off. I hope that is solid reasoning. Regardless, day three here, as I said, I wanted to try this as a powder, setting powder, additional foundation powder on top of foundation. You know, I know that's not how it's advertised. I'm just trying to get the product to work for me because clearly it is not good for my oily skin personally, or at least it doesn't do the things that I want a foundation to do. So I decided to try using this as a setting powder and also provide a little more coverage to my normal foundation combination. So I used primer, my normal concealer, and favorite foundations, and then I just went ahead and I tried using the sponge to kind of like dab it on in my oiliest of areas to try and get that blurred pore look, but it kind of did the same thing that it did when the sponge was wet. Even though I had waited for my foundation to dry, it wasn't like it was wet. But either way, the sponge was a bad idea. So I just went ahead and used a powder brush, a big fluffy powder brush, to pick up the foundation powder and dust that all over my face. And I thought it looked really good. You know, I do think that it helped to blur my pores and everything. I also do apologize. I know dermatillomania has struck me hard recently in that one area on my nose, so I'm sorry if that's hard to look at. It's just kind of my reality at the moment. But throughout today, I did have time where I was wearing my mask out and about, and my foundation, it doesn't look like it, well, it did come off on my mask. I saw it on my mask when I took my mask off, but I didn't notice any kind of like transfer lines or anything on my face when I did that. And I think at the end of the night here, it honestly looks pretty dang good. Granted, that's because this foundation combination is amazing on me. It looks a little splotchy or patchy in my nose pores. That could just be from the mask. I don't know if it had to do with the powder interacting badly with the foundation combo or anything, but overall, I just don't think that this is going to be a powder that I'm ever going to be using in the future. And to back up those feelings, let me give you the pros and the cons in list form. So this does have quite a few pros, so this definitely might work for some people. I think the compact packaging is really nice. You know, it is fairly slim for having the foundation and a mirror and a sponge built into it. Sometimes they can get quite clunky, but this is thin enough where it would be easy to throw in your bag or whatever if you want it on the go. It also has easy application for the most part if you use it dry. And for a powder, I do think it gives pretty decent coverage. Not full coverage like they advertise, but pretty decent coverage, all things considered. And then also throughout the day, I do think that it remains lightweight, even if you do get oily. If you you have oily skin like me. But that is where the cons come in here, and this is where none of those pros really matter to me because first off, like I already said, this is not full coverage like they advertised. Otherwise I wouldn't put that as a con, but since they advertise it to be full coverage and it's not full coverage, because like, you know, I don't expect anything to cover up my really bad dermatillomania moments on my face. Like, that's different, but even like normal blemishes, it wasn't able to fully cover on its own. So I do have to say that that's a con, that it's not as advertised. Also, I found multiple different ways where it is super patchy and difficult to apply if you apply it wet like they advertise you can. Again, I wouldn't put this as a con if they didn't advertise and say that you can do this, or that, you know, this is a good way of using our product. It also claims to have oil control and provide up to 24 hours of matteness. I don't know. I mean, I do have oily skin, but it's not the oiliest in the world, and even my skin said, hold my cup. I was gonna turn that into a hold my beer moment, but like cup for your oils, but then I'm thinking of like my face oils dripping into a cup, and that's just disgusting, but I guess we just went there, so aha, too bad I didn't formulate that into an actual well-worded joke. And then along with that, I do think it has to do with my oils. I could be wrong, but this really does transfer quite badly and also wipes right off. So I don't get the hype personally. I mean, I guess if you've never tried an actual like good coverage powder foundation before and you're swiping this on for the first time, yeah, it might be pretty incredible to see that a powder can provide that kind of coverage. But for me, I wear my makeup for more than, you know, a split instant second for the camera, for a 1 minute TikTok or whatever. Like, I want my foundation and my products to last throughout the day, because if I'm gonna wear them, I'm gonna be wearing them for at least a handful of hours. By handful, I mean 5, because I have 5 fingers, so that makes a handful. But there you go. Those are just my reasons, my experimentation with this foundation, this very TikTok famous and hyped foundation. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have tried this foundation, if you felt the same or different as me, if you agree with the TikTokers and you think this is the most amazing foundation ever and that it deserves to be sold out on all the makeup shelves right now, at least at the Targets that I went to here in Minnesota. I hope all of you are staying as warm as possible if you are being hit in the very cold spots. I guess I only know of them in the States here, but if around the world you're also having some freak cold weather, I mean, for Minnesota, it's nothing new, but just stay warm, stay safe, stay healthy if you can, as best as you can. Let me know as well if there are any other TikTok things you want to see me try out in the comments down below, or just, you know, products, trends, whatever in general. Let me know in the comments below, and maybe you will get a video on that in the near future. Also, just let me know if you enjoyed the video, found it helpful, whatever the case may be, by giving it a thumbs up down below. I would really appreciate it. And if you're new here, hey, hi, hello, how are you? You can go ahead and subscribe. You can continue to tap that notification bell down below and become a member of my casserole family here on my channel. I'd love to have you here. And as always, I just hope you guys are all doing well. And until next time, just stay well until then. Bye!